Hi and welcome to The Scoop. My next guest has been called the Eye of Kenyans for the provocative images he captured during the post-election violence of 2008. His ability to inject artistry into his work, together with his political activism, earned him many photojournalism awards around the world. Today, he channels his vision by nurturing young minds into agents of reconciliation. He's a huge inspiration to me and a friend. Boniface Mwangi, welcome to The Scoop. Bonnie, it's great to have you here, man.
Thank you, man, for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Bonnie, Bible school, that's what you studied. You got a diploma in Bible studies.
Yes.
Explain to me how that turned into photojournalism.
I was meant to be a preacher. I was in Bible school. And then I was the class photographer. I used to love taking pictures. And one of my lecturers, Esther Muinde, used to work for Mohammed Amin, your father.
Oh, yeah, I know. I remember the guy, yeah.
And so she gave me a book about Mohammed Amin, and I read the book, and it changed my life in a way that, yes, I used to love photography and knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I was going to take pictures, yes. But reading the book about Mo's life, it mirrored my life. He grew up with parents, but his struggles in Dar es Salaam, how he became a photographer, the work that he did, like, wow. You can do so much just using a camera. And then I said I'm going to do photography for the rest of my life. And
let's go back a step there, because we'll come to how you got in. But you know, your folks, you said, you know, my dad had his parents. Yes. Your parents, what happened with your parents?
I grew up in a single home. My mother had 7 kids. We didn't have a dad, and we grew up all over, scattered all over. We were that poor. My mother struggled a lot. I never finished high school, and so one of the things that actually inspired me reading the book is that Mo was in the middle of one exam, and then realized this exam would help his life, and he quit and said, you know what, I know what I want to do with my life, and he threw the paper off the window. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I tried that, but he didn't really accept that. Yeah.
But it was actually that it didn't matter where he came from, and he was actually going to a very white man's career, and it wasn't white, it was brown. And
brown was not a good color to be in those days. Yeah, it was not a good color to be in those days. He was a second-class citizen
in his own country. And so going to a career which was what dominated in that time, and so I was living in my time, but my time is that I was poor bringing, not to all school. I never went to high school because my mom couldn't afford to pay for me high school. So it's in a way inspired me to, you know what, I can do it. And seeing that he moved the world using images, just pictures. I didn't have to talk and say anything. I didn't have to preach. I just had to take pictures and said, I want to become this guy.
So the Bible was something that you still read and you still follow?
I follow the teachings of the Bible. I don't agree with the Bible entirely. There are things that I actually don't agree with. But that's religion because it's personal. I think faith is a very personal thing. You carry it within your heart and you live it according to how you understand it.
Going back to the photography, so you decided you wanted to be a photographer. Now, it's not that easy. You can't just kind of find a camera. Yeah. Where did you get your first camera from?
I borrowed someone's camera. I think my very first camera, I got it when I was, 15 or 16. So that's where I learned how to take pictures with film and sell pictures. I used to take pictures to sell. And then after that, I went to East Africa School of Journalism to learn photography and journalism, which they didn't teach me much. I think we had one hour class a week on photography.
How did you get into the school? I mean, did you have the money from your hawking and selling things?
I raised money from hawking, and then I had to actually go and sit an exam like any other person because I didn't have my O-level certificate. So I had to actually convince the school director that I actually was qualified to join the school, which I was able to do very well. And so for me to get my first camera, it was actually a struggle. The first one was a point and shoot. The second one was a film camera that I actually borrowed money. And it took me 4 years to pay 15,000 shillings. I think I bought it for 20,000. I had 5. I borrowed 15. It took me like 5 years to pay that money.
Wow.
Because I used to work, so I started stringing for the Standard and Nation. And when I would do that, they would pay me $250 per picture.
That's 250 shillings per picture,
like
which is about $3.
$3 per photo. And $3 I have to go and buy film for 100 bob. I had to go and press the negative for 50 bob, and then I have to go through the dark room and look at the pictures, go and choose whatever photo that I'm going to print, then print like 10 pictures. That's actually the 250 is over.
Yeah.
I had to use my own transport, I had to use my own means. So it was a big struggle. So what I used to do, I would go shoot pictures, take to them 10 pictures, choose one. So in a month I'll get a check of 3 pictures, which is 750 shillings.
So which is about $10.
$10 a month
at
in
that.
photography. So I had actually to go back in the streets to hawk books, to make a living, and to pay my rent. I think one of the biggest struggles for photographers, and one of the biggest struggle back then was actually, I came into a career that wasn't respected. You live in a country where doctors, engineers, politicians, lawyers are respected. But if you're an artist, they don't respect you. If you're a photographer, it's a despised thing. I tried dating, and I remember one time going out with a girlfriend. And when we went out, everyone was doing the introduction. So I said, I'm a photographer. And my to-be mother-in-law, who never became my mother-in-law, said, yeah, but he's planning to go back to school and do another course, because I don't think, he's not a photographer. He's going back to school. Because in her mind, she could not see how her daughter was going to get married to a photographer. It's not like, even right now, people still struggle to see some photographers as a respectable career. What really cleared my vision, reading about Mo's life. I'm not trying to flatter
And this
you.
is one of his cameras,
Yeah,
just so you
nice.
know. This is his one of his old cameras that I think still works.
So those are the days where you had to actually do everything manually. And I'm saying reading about his life and what he did actually changed my world perspective. You know, you sit down and read a book. If I was to choose one book that actually I could read over and over again, and if I was to pick a book and tell someone this is a book that could actually change your life, I think it's More the Frontline Cameraman. That was
the first one, the one that Brian Tetley wrote.
Yes, and then the second one now, which put everything. But the first book was like, this is what he was able to do. There's one story that I remember very well, is that he was playing cards with his friend at his house. Then he got a phone call. There's a job. Told him I'm coming back. Went short, came back, and couldn't, like nothing had happened. He scooped his best friend and just like that.
Yeah, that like, best friend, by the way, still hasn't forgotten about that or forgiven about that. We're going to be right back with Boniface Mwangi talking about photojournalism and how it can change the world. Stay with me. Hi, welcome back. I'm here with Boniface Mwangi. Boniface, we were talking about the power of photography. The pictures that you shot in 2008 changed history in Kenya of the post-election violence. There was a story that really made your name as well, globally. You were already a famous photographer in Kenya, but globally these pictures made your name. Tell me about going out and taking those pictures, going into the slums. What did you feel at the time? I mean, you obviously didn't know what was going to happen, but what did you feel when the violence first started?
When the violence started, I was in Mathare. We were waiting for the announcement of the elections, and when it was announced, there were many screams, and I don't know where the machetes came from, people being cut, and the police all over, and they were burning houses. And I thought, okay, I shot. Went back to the newsroom and said, oh, yeah, these things happened, but they didn't take my photos seriously. I don't think they were published that night or the next day. Then my friends who are Elijah Kanyi, who used to live in Mathare, then would actually tell me, oh, come back today, there are more killings, so we'd go back. So for the first days, I didn't know what was going on. It was like, oh, maybe this is just normal violence, it's going to end. Then kept on going for like 2 months. And so for 2 months, there was adrenaline and surreal life. You'd actually wake up in the morning, go leave the city center, it was quiet and deserted, go to Mathare, witness someone being killed or shot by police or houses burning, go back to the newsroom, file your pictures, but the main headline is about Raila Odinga and Kibaki, blah, blah, blah. Then go back again. I think the enormity of the situation came back to me later on, because I had time to reflect about it.
So when you were actually photographing and going out every day, was the adrenaline taking over? You were just doing your job.
Adrenaline and trying to scoop people, because so there were many white photographers coming with their flak jackets, helmets, all over, and they had escorts. And so you here had one camera, one lens. And I didn't know how to use it very well. It was a 5D with a 20 to 300 lens, and it was, I used to use it everywhere. It served me very well. And I had to actually try and scoop them, because I was trying to sell my pictures on the wire. And so for me, it was first survival, because I was black, Kenyan, ethnic.
Right.
That meant if I went to Mathare or Kibera, they would actually look at me and say, when Kabila Gani, what tribe are you?
Yeah.
So I'd actually come up with a fake tribe. So while everyone else had a press card, I wouldn't use mine. I didn't carry any card.
So you had no identification on you whatsoever?
Just my...
So what did you pass yourself off as? What tribe?
I would say that I'm tighter. If you
Okay.
ask me.
Okay.
But you see, the guys who are doing most of the killings were speaking in Sheng.
Yeah.
They go back to the vernacular when they're discussing their own strategy, but they're actually speaking in Sheng. But I actually felt more unsafe because the place that I never went, I actually felt more unsafe by the guys who were actually doing organized killings. There were Kikuyu militia. People say it was Mungiki. Like there's a photo I took of a guy being hacked, and he was being hacked by Kikuyus, and they saw me, and I had to actually run away, and I broke my lens in the process. Because from them, they could see me, even if we spoke that language, they had been paid to do it. So they wouldn't even allow you to take pictures.
It didn't really sink in at that time, the enormity of what was happening to Kenya?
No, it wasn't that. I had a few nightmares, but there was so much to look forward to. And then I think a bit after February 28th, when they signed the peace accord, I got married 8 days later on March 8th. But after the wedding, I realized I was messed up. As in, I was a spaced out guy. I used to have so much anger. I was very upset because I went back to my normal job as a photographer, and they would assign me to go and cover politicians. And I would go to cover politician, but my whole body was full of rage.
As these politicians?
Yes, and you see, after the country moved on, there's something that actually happened to me. I was assigned to actually go and cover IDPs. So there was this story about, there was a lot of infighting between Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki about positions. But people are not talking about over 500,000 people are displaced. So as part of my job of covering politicians, we go and get internally displaced people. You hear about some child died in an IDP camp, someone was killed, or there's some young girls who are selling their bodies as a result of the violence. But for Kenya, we all moved on. That did not even reflect in the newspapers. And so I had so much anger within me. I was upset. I had suicidal thoughts. I thought about what can I do. And so I used to walk around with this very negative and very. I was just. Let me just say. I wish I could say this, but I have to censor my words. I was a wreck. You see, there was no psychological support for anyone who covered the election violence. So, yes, I was working with my colleagues, but they never saw what I saw. That was the difference. And now, because I had a chance to go and look at my pictures and look at what was going on, it started sinking back, what I was seeing and what I was able to document. And so in my mind, my images were live. Flesh and blood and smoke and smell and the noise and the gunshots, it was just live. And and then, now, that time, it was full of adrenaline. Now I'd go cover one assignment, and then you're free the whole day. And so you just get time to think, and you're thinking, what just happened in this country? And so I became this angry young man who was very frustrated, extremely angry. And then a few months later, I won the CNN award for work that I'd done 1 year earlier of people being executed by the police. And I realized, man, things are just bad. But I went back again to the newsroom and I was like, no. My zeal for photography went down. I didn't want to take pictures. A few months later, what people don't even know is that I was looking for answers, and I went to the bank and applied for a loan. Because I heard about someone who was creating shockwaves across the world and doing many things. And I decided to go and cover the US elections. I went to my boss. They said they don't have money. They said I'm going to pay for my own air ticket and I'm going to pay for my own upkeep. So I went to the bank and applied for a loan, which I paid like 3 times more over a 6-year period. And I took a loan and I went to the US. When I went to the US, I wanted to understand this Obama thing and hope thing and how a politician can be able to bring about change. I never saw Obama. It was the last few days of the election. Obama was everywhere. So I ended up sitting in someone's room watching CNN.
Okay. Thinking about your loan.
Yeah. So I came all this way to cover Obama and just have a look and see this guy and see why is he able to create such a large following and such a large believability into politics. And that was, got elected in November, came back in December, came back home, and I resigned. I said, I don't think I even want to become a photographer. I quit my job, put in my letter, and quit.
So this is the process from becoming a photojournalist to becoming an activist.
I was like, what do I do? Because I realized
it's the frustration of not being able to do it.
Street exhibitions we did, graffiti we have done, but these guys are not getting it. Let's try and get a ballot revolution, which we did not get. But we were trying to push people to think beyond the current crop of leaders. Because we were going to the ballot and we had a chance to elect new people. and change some of the guides that we have, and even enforce Chapter 6 of the Constitution about integrity and character, but we are not doing that. So in my mind I thought if we keep pushing the message, people will get it. But
so you went to the streets?
yeah, we did state burial where we burned all about 221 coffins to represent every single member of parliament. Says, let's start afresh. But Kenyans, man.
So you've gone to, how many times have you gone to jail since this started?
I think 6, 7 times. I have 2 court cases pending. Yeah.
And
Been
the
acquitted
heckling, I
twice.
mean, you know, disrupting these public events and these gatherings.
I've been acquitted twice because I think I have a right to protest and I have a right
Yeah.
to assemble and I have a right to picket. So twice acquitted, 2 pending court cases, 3 times arrested but not taken to court. Yeah.
But the toll on the family, I mean, we talked a little bit about family earlier. You have a young family.
Yes.
They were obviously, you know, they're obviously worried about you when you were a photojournalist as well, you know, going to dangerous situations, whether you would come home. Now, it's probably an even bigger concern because you're an enemy of the state, effectively. You've been branded that as someone who's a troublemaker. How does that take a toll on your family life, on your immediate family, your wife and your kids?
My wife is more happier that I'm no longer in the streets and I'm not going to the streets anymore. But for the longest time, she took every time we were together like the last day she was going to see me. So if I came up and said, let's go for a holiday or let's go and watch a movie or let's go here, she'd follow me without questioning. She would say, let's go. Because she never knew when the government is going to grab me or when I'm going to upset someone and they're going to kill me. And the reason why I actually stopped doing what I do and I'm no longer in the streets, and it hurts me that I can't go in the streets anymore, is that I got a lot of threats. And they were very subtle. And they kept on coming and coming and coming to a level.
From the same sources or from different people?
From politicians, from politicians who I knew through friends, and they would call me and say, hey, these guys. And so to a level where I think the breaking point was when Kimemia sent a statement to the newsroom, said that we have been paid to destabilize the government and we've been investigated.
Kimemia is who?
He was the advisor to the president, and I don't know his official position, but he's the hatchet man for the president.
Okay.
And he said that he released a statement, said Boniface Mwangi, Timothy Njoya and John Githongo have been funded by USAID to destabilize the government. That they're trying to topple the government through protests. That wasn't our intention. And it confirmed the things that I've been hearing over and over again, that I was becoming an irritant and I was becoming a troublemaker to the government to a level where they could not tolerate me anymore. I think if someone like me is being funded by the government funded by Western countries to overthrow the government, I should be having more money than I do. I should be having people following me. I should be having, maybe if I'm going to hire people or arms, or it's something that can actually collect evidence and take me to court. I've never been charged. I've never been summoned. And the story died. And when I went to the streets to protest that particular day, guys were beaten up. People were arrested. I managed to escape. I jumped from a moving police car. And my friends who were taken to court were charged with causing a riot and like 4 or 5 counts. The normal bail is 10,000 shillings. The bail for those guys, Mandela and the rest, was 200,000 per person, which is very, very high.
Which they couldn't come up with.
It was very punitive. We were able to raise the money from friends, but they spent a night in jail.
We'll be right back talking about the future and the scoop with Boniface Mwangi. Stay with me. Hi, welcome back. We're here with Boniface Mwangi. We're going to be talking about the future. Bonnie, what's next for you? I mean, you've changed a lot of people's lives. You've highlighted so much injustice in this country. One way of changing the system is to get into the system. Is there Boniface Mwangi for politics in your future?
I'm tempted. I'm having this discussion with my wife.
The people that you hate so much, you might become one of them.
Yeah, that's the thing. People think if I become a politician, I'm going to change. And so I need to convince myself that I won't change and convince my wife that I won't change if I become a politician. But I'm thinking about it. Why not? Why not? If they think that if we are out here, we are not offering any solutions, why not vie and offer solutions and say, this is me, this is what I've been able to do, and if you elect me, I'm going to do this. I wish I could do one more protest. I think deep down, I want to do one more protest. I really want to go back and say, it's not over yet, we haven't given up, let's not give up, and I still want to do one more protest.
And do you think you'll get the support to do it again?
I'm going to be more creative to ensure that I go there and I don't get arrested. I hate being beaten up, man. Those guys have beaten me up enough times. Those guys are...
It's part and parcel of the job of photojournalism to get beaten up, but not, I mean, activism is even worse, it seems.
Yeah, man, being beaten up like a thief, man, and being treated like a common thief. For no offense, so I don't get beaten. You know, it's so embarrassing. There was a time my kids were watching TV on May Day last year, and they saw me being beaten up, and they're telling the mother, they're killing my daddy, they're killing my daddy. It's not nice. I was beaten in front of my last born by cops at Wilson Airport. And these guys beat me up, and my kids were like, why is he beating my father? So even my young kids have a very bad image of cops. I think if you want to, my kids to straighten up, like, I'm going to take you to the police. I'm like, if the police beat my daddy, they're going to kill me. So yeah, and that shouldn't be that way. I think if I ever vie, I'll vie on two issues actually. Livelihoods and security. I think those are two things that are actually affecting this country. That if you have jobs, then the security will actually go down, and the security will improve. We want to have a safer city. So maybe one day I'll vie, maybe. I wish that I could do it all over again without feeling threatened, because I don't want to be paranoid. I don't want to be looking over my back, and it was hard. I think guys see an event, you see a protest, but what it takes to do a protest, it's a lot of work. I know very well that when you're doing them, there are people within our team who are informing the government of our activities. So you have to keep every secret, like taking pigs to parliament. Man, the secrecy around that is that you have to try.
But you pulled it off.
Yes.
You pulled it off. And it didn't seem to shame any of the people you were supposed to shame.
The president was very pissed. He said, how does a man bring a truck of pigs outside parliament? What if it was a bomb? How did that happen?
Good point.
That meant that they were actually they increased the surveillance on our lives so much more after that. So which meant when we did the protest that we did this year when we got beaten up and I stopped doing it, that they were on our back from the day we started planning the protest. And we planned for that protest, we planned for 7 months, Salim. If it had succeeded,
it would have changed the country, you think?
Yes, in a big way.
Really?
We had planned to do something that has never been done before. Maybe it would have been shot, all of us.
What were you planning to do? You can't tell me.
It would have changed the country if we had succeeded what we planned to do, but it didn't, and they stopped us. But that particular day, me and a friend of mine, because we were the only two people who knew what we were planning to do, and I don't know how people learned about it, were meant to let me not talk about it, but it did happen.
Well, I'm now paranoid even more because I'm not going to call you now on the phone now because I bet you your phone's tapped completely. So I'm not going to call you and say, hey, Bonnie, we got to meet at that place at this time. Then I'm going to be...
They're no longer interested. I'm not protesting anymore. Yeah. But one of the things that I've learned, and I think people should learn on the Scoop and everyone else, is actually you need to learn to discover your voice. I think it's important that let's discover who we truly are and what you're supposed to do. And you have to learn to let people respect your voice, because there's a lack of respect for people's voice. That when you have a divergent view than someone else, people disagree with you and call you names. And I think the best place to be in life is to know who you are and just discovering your voice, that you can say what you say and mean what you say, and you're not afraid of what's going to happen to you. You live a free man. I'm a free guy.
That's a basic human right.
Yeah, but because of society expectations and the fear of being different, we don't let our thoughts be known or our values be known. It's not Kenyans that are cowards by choice. They are cowards because they're afraid of consequence. I think we need to stop being afraid of what is going to happen to you when you speak your voice. Just say it and do it. Don't be afraid.
Well, the show's called The Scoop, Bunny. So say it, do it. Tell me a scoop. Tell me something about Boniface Mwangi that nobody knows.
Okay. The most silliest, stupid thing that I've ever done is I was in Marsabit National Park. I really wanted a photo of elephants and buffaloes. I had a small camera and didn't have a zoom lens. It was a point and shoot. And I convinced this Turkana guy that we go and take pictures of the elephants. When we reached where the elephants were, I couldn't take the pictures.
Because you were too far?
Yes. And the guy told me, it's okay, come out. And so we chased the elephants on foot. Elephants and buffaloes. When I look back, that's one of the
You
silliest-
chased them.
Yes.
Luckily, they didn't turn around.
They didn't turn around. They were on foot, man. This guy, we chased them when I think when I look back, that would have died. I did.
You had many more things to do.
Yeah.
And that's The Scoop with Boniface Mwangi. Join me again next week when I'll be talking to yet another great African personality. From me and the entire team of The Scoop here in Nairobi, Kenya, thanks for watching. Bonnie, thank you very much, man.
Sandi sana.
I really appreciate it. I hope you had as good a time as I
Yes,
did.
I
on
did.
That. It was
Thank
really,
you.
really, really fascinating. Fascinating interview, man.
Thanks.